The world is so vast that it harbors treasures worth discovering in every corner. Each geography has its unique language, culture, beliefs, and ways of life. In addition, in these regions, you encounter stunning atmospheres that enchant you. One of those captivating places is Indonesia. It's a South Asian country covering a colossal area of approximately 2 million square kilometers. 275 million people reside within this expanse, making it the fourth most populous country globally, following China, India, and the United States. Moreover, Indonesia is the most populous Muslim country in the world. Muslims here are spread across more than 7,500 islands, living in the world's largest archipelagic state. Although not every island is inhabited, it's said that the total number of islands the country possesses is 17,508. Climate-wise, this is a place where extreme heat and abundant humidity prevail. Temperatures hover around 30 degrees throughout the year, and you come across plenty of trees in the country. One of the main reasons for this is Indonesia's location right on the equator. Looking at the country from above, you observe that it's situated in Southeast Asia, between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. While Malaysia is to the north of Indonesia, Papua New Guinea is to the east, and Australia is to the south. The capital city is Jakarta, with a population exceeding 11 million. However, in this video, we will focus more on Bali, the region of Indonesia often referred to as paradise. This island holds significant differences from other islands in Indonesia. Moreover, it serves as a crucial source of tourism income for the country, with everyone visiting Indonesia prioritizing a trip to Bali. The island is located south of the country, east of Jakarta's capital. In fact, just 10 years ago, Bali wasn't as famous, and its name wasn't widely recognized. However, the island's dynamic development happened rapidly within a short period. Extensive construction works were carried out in Bali in a short time. As you explore Bali, the numerous active places and the abundance of cars you encounter make you feel that this is valuable. Moreover, having a car in Bali is not a must. You can reach every corner of the island with just a bicycle or a motorcycle. Of course, be cautious with motorcyclists, as some of them might approach you while you have your phone in hand and snatch it. It's said that these motorcycle thieves are not locals, but mostly come from other islands like Java. They are well aware that affluent tourists generally hang around Bali. In fact, many villas in Bali are surrounded by walls and fences because people from other islands might want to loot them. It's said that 20% of the population of Java regularly visits Bali. In a country where such negative incidents can occur, it's worth noting that the minimum wage varies by province, with an average monthly minimum wage scale of around $300. This is why everything, especially meals, is incredibly cheap in the country. For instance, people in Bali generally work below $500 per month, yet there is almost no struggle for subsistence. This is why Indonesia is an attractive destination for its citizens and Europeans, Africans, and Asians. The country attracts a lot of migration as people come to enjoy a quality life inexpensively. The local Indonesians are never racist towards foreigners. On the contrary, Indonesians are mostly smiling, warm, and kind. If you want to be warmly welcomed when you go to Indonesia, a geographically rich and religious country where faith is intensely lived, you must respect the traditions of the local people. This is perhaps the most religious country among Asian countries. Muslims, Christians, Hindus, and Buddhists live here under a common umbrella. Therefore, you might frequently encounter the rituals of any belief on the streets of Indonesia. Not only rituals, but each belief has thousands of temples and sacred trees. For example, in past years, a tourist took a naked photograph in front of sacred temples in Indonesia and shared it on social media. Subsequently, that person was quickly located and deported, never to return to Indonesia. From this, we can understand that Indonesians are very sensitive about their beliefs and cultures, and they have no tolerance for disrespect. For instance, in places like Bali, you should never enter a temple or any other private area without permission. Local people criticize this heavily. If you climb a sacred tree there, you will be instantly caught by the police and deported. Another unacceptable situation in Indonesia, which is neither tolerated nor accepted, is the use of prohibited substances. If you go to this country and use or trade narcotics, be aware that the penalty for this can be death. They show absolutely no tolerance in this regard and enforce extremely strict rules. Because people fear being executed, narcotics police in this country do not encounter many problems. If you dream of a permanent life in Indonesia, the locals, who are generally very welcoming to guests, may disagree with you on one matter, that is, of course, entering the same sector as them. Indonesia is a country that loves to attract investments, and they don't create any problems for foreigners regarding residence permits. The only condition the country imposes on those who want to establish a business is to open a company. Once you open a company here, you can shop in any sector, guide tourists, or find jobs like lifeguarding or surf instruction on the beaches. Especially, there is a significant interest in surfing here. At this point, some locals may harbor hatred toward you because you might have taken their jobs. Many of them already earn less than $700 on average. The Indonesian government deports illegal workers, but the doors are wide open for anyone paying their taxes. A sector that outsiders rarely get involved in this country is rice cultivation. Therefore, you won't see many Europeans working in rice fields in Indonesia. In fact, these rice fields don't come from natural areas. They were once entirely forests. Immigrants from China cut down the forests in the prehistoric years to establish rice fields. As the Indian influence started to come to the region over time, Indonesia became a rice producer. Even today, especially in Bali, the majority of the population, who mostly follow Hindu Buddhism, carries the legacy of people who came from China and India. Islam is predominant in the Java island, which includes the capital Jakarta. Despite having incredible natural areas like Bali Island, Indonesia has a significant waste problem. Especially in places frequently visited by people, you can see an unfortunately large amount of garbage. Sometimes, even the edges of the beaches can be covered with trash. The garbage on the beaches mixes with the sea due to the impact of the waves, polluting the ocean. The Indonesian government spends about $4.5 billion annually to clean up human waste in the oceans. They are particularly engaged in a significant struggle against plastic. Unfortunately, many people in the country don't have the habit of throwing their garbage in the trash bins, and they don't hesitate to throw plastic and similar waste that is of no use to them on the ground. Bali, in particular, has a significant waste problem. Another detail you might encounter on the beaches is a religious item. People here believe that souls live in the oceans. Therefore, they burn incense on the beaches. Indonesians can have incense not only in temples but also on the beaches, in cars, and even in markets. Balinese people even have calendars that are different from the usual. They have 3 special calendars. For instance, in their Pawakan calendars, there is no concept of a year. So if you ask a local in Bali when they were born, they won't talk to you about a year. They will tell you the name of the day they were born and the name of their week. Because the calendar has 30 weeks, and each week has its unique names for the days, it's a bit confusing. When you ask people here about days, months, and years, you might get misleading and complex information from your perspective because they can use one of the 3 calendars. There's another aspect related to Indonesia. If you're not good with animals and especially sensitive to wild creatures, permanent life in Indonesia might not suit you. Because the country's natural vegetation includes many forests, so there are plenty of wild animals in the region. You should be accustomed to insects, snakes, spiders, reptiles, monkeys, and more in Indonesia. Especially while walking on the road, you might suddenly see snakes. You can think that almost every wild creature in the world's ecosystem coexists in Indonesia. While many wild animals are accustomed to human presence, snakes are not inclined to live alongside humans. Therefore, you should be particularly careful about snakes while you are there. The people here have found a solution, like keeping cats to ward off snakes. Yes, we can't say that cats hunt snakes. But cats find snake nests and destroy their eggs, preventing them from multiplying. Afterwards, the number of snakes in the area gradually decreases, and the area is cleared thanks to the cats. When you look at people's faces in Indonesia, you mostly see that they have a dark complexion. Of course, I'm not saying this for any particular purpose. Most of them are slender and not overweight. In fact, if you look more closely at some, they are almost skin and bones, and some even have a limited number of healthy teeth. People don't behave aggressively when they see a camera. They pose for pictures. Since people experience spiritual happiness at the center of belief, they don't seek the source of their happiness in making a lot of money. Indonesians can see themselves as the happiest individuals in the world despite their modest lives. The common thing about all of them is that they are constantly smiling. Especially children look extremely cute and innocent. Since people carry Asian genetics, they have slanted eyes, and Muslim women in Indonesia dress modestly, covering their heads. In Indonesia, the land in Bali does not belong to the state. Here, the land belongs entirely to these friendly locals. However, the fact that the land belongs to the local people does not mean they can sell the land parcels in the country. People can lease their lands in Bali for about 25-30 years, but they can never sell them permanently. Regarding the lands in Bali, we can also say there are not many skyscraper buildings on the island. The central atmosphere of the island progresses more like a huge rural village. The coastal areas of the island are completely filled with businesses serving tourists. In Indonesia, Bali, there is another surprising fact. Cows are more expensive here than anywhere else in the world. The cost of a cow for you could be $2,000 or $3,000. However, in Bali, cows are sold between $6,000 and $10,000. If someone asks you for a valuable gift while you're there, what they want from you could largely be a cow. Moreover, the local people are in constant communication with each other. When the people of Bali go to temples for worship, they also share what is happening around them and much more news with their neighbors. For example, if you come from outside, a Balinese citizen will convey most of the information about you to their neighbors. This can be a good thing for them because they become conscious of potential threats from outsiders and organize each other. Additionally, if you look at the heights of the people there, you can see that people are generally shorter than 165 centimeters. Balinese locals are petite and short. For instance, people from the island of Java are much taller than those on the island of Bali. When the Dutch came to exploit Indonesia, especially around Jakarta on the island of Java, they were more colonized. The Dutch made mixed marriages here, and naturally some external factors influenced the genetics of the Java island. As you know, the Dutch are still very tall today, so as you go from the west to the east in Indonesia, people's heights decrease, and there is a trend toward a leaner body. In Bali, the character of women on the island is more in line with men. Women here are not in a feminist stance, and there is a family structure where the man is at the head of the administration. Indonesian women are firmly attached to their men, largely follow their words, give birth to their children, and shape their lives around their husbands. Local people here don't have a wild nightlife, and they are equally distant from alcohol and cigarettes. Additionally, people generally have a sensitive character with delicate hearts and can be easily hurt. Besides, there is a caste system in Indonesia. In fact, all that we have talked about is centered around the rules and characteristics brought about by the caste system. For example, people can only give certain names to their newborns in sequence. The number of names is limited, so you see many similar names among people. For instance, for their firstborn, they name them Wayan, or maid, regardless of gender. When the second child is born, they should name them something other than Wayan, like Cade or Naiman. Thus, children can get names based on their birth order in Indonesia. In this video, we talked more about Indonesia's Bali Island. Indonesia is a country with details too extensive to cover in a single video. For more, you can like the video and subscribe to the channel.